Hello, I'm Paul,
And I'm John.
and we're going to be speaking about our recent experience on Virgin Voyages on Resilient Lady.
We went on Greek Island Glow, so we'll put a link at the bottom of the video so you can see all the videos that we did before this one, so you can see the different places we went to and kind of more experiences we had. So in this video we're going to cover food,
Entertainment,
spaces,
ports,
value,
cabin,
crew. We do it again.
and there were some things we absolutely loved, and there were a few things that we absolutely hated as well. So
It'll be an honest review.
yeah. Right, so we're going to start off by talking about food. There were so many things to like about the food, to be honest. There was not one bad meal, really. So the quality of the food. Do you want to talk about that first? Or?
Yeah, it was one of the reasons we picked Virgin Voyages, but you can basically eat as much as you like, and we did.
And there's no shame in it. You can miss out the starters and have two mains, or you can have just starters. There's no judgment. You can have whatever you want, and that freedom is amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, and the quality and choice was really good. So you picked like different restaurants each night, and instead of going to a buffet, which we didn't really want, just sitting at a restaurant around a table was much better for us.
We said the variety of the food was a thing that like sort of surprised us. It was like when you go on holiday and you're in a resort and you have to try and find a good restaurant every night. You don't have that because you know that all the restaurants are good. So wherever you go, you're going to have a good meal.
The galley was very quick. I was not sure what the galley would be like, but it's also a good alternative to going to a sit-down restaurant. So lots of food stands where you can order different types of food. And I said it's really quick. You just order it, put in the little thing up on the board, and then they just come and take your order, and it's usually there within minutes.
Yeah, and also they keep coming back. So if you have one thing and it wasn't enough or you want something else, just put it back up again. They come back again. It's not like a big deal. They come back as many times as you need, and so you're not going to go hungry. We really liked it when we were in like the main restaurants, but there wasn't much upsell. Like we've heard from other people and other cruises that you have to pay to go in certain restaurants, and when you get, or if you go to a restaurant, there's often a lot of stuff. The best things on the menu are like more expensive. Well, at Virgin in the restaurants, there were a few items that were more expensive, but they weren't really things me and you would have anyway.
Like tomahawk steak and stuff, we're not that bothered because the fillet mignon was good anyway.
If you wanted to, you could have 3 fillet steaks. You know, you could just order 3 of them. I think in the wake they did some kind of lobster and what they called, oysters and things like that. But that's not our thing anyway, is it? And they don't take up much of the menu.
The dislikes are really hard to think of, so there wasn't really pretty much anything. If we're being really picky, something for me, probably the variation of opening hours in the galley. Well, they weren't all open at the same time, so just knowing when they were kind of in the morning particularly, not everything was open at the same time. And then the social club where you could get hot dogs, that was a bit more limited, so it didn't open till around about 4 most days apart from the sea day.
Because our cruise was sea day low, because we had a lot of port calls, there was only one sea day. It meant that like really the time when you could get a hot dog was 4 o'clock, and because we wanted to go to shows and things, and we go to bed fairly early really most of the time because we're going into the ports early the next day, it meant that we were not going to be having like anything from there because it would ruin our dinner. Having one day we did try another hot dog, but it does make you too full, doesn't it? So we went there and had one day.
What did you think about organising the food on the app?
I thought the app was very crashy. So when you're organising the food, it was okay. I thought it was good how you could edit the time, and it didn't cancel it and you lost your thing. It was actually seamless at the time.
And when I booked them all up before we went, so we knew and then we wanted to change times later. And there's more availability than we thought because people obviously did the same and changed their mind later. It was quite hard matching it with the events because the events changed from when we first thought they were going to be to when we got on the ship. So they moved the days that they were on and stuff, so that affected when we had to do things. But it was really, really minor. And we pretty much ate the same time we wanted to each day.
And also, there's some really casual places. So even if you go and have a terrible meal, which you won't do, but if you were to, you can still just go to the galley, and it does 24-hour American breakfast. You can go to the pizza place until, well, I don't know what time, but quite
Early
late,
hours of the morning.
early hours of the morning. And so you're not going to be hungry on the cruise at all.
And you can also have ship eats. So we had ship eats delivered to the room, which was
Yeah.
really good, really quick. So the next thing we talk about is entertainment.
The entertainment on board is not like, I don't think, we've never been on a standard cruise like P&O or one of the other cruise companies, but I don't think it is similar. I think it's quite different. They're really much in a lot into immersive type entertainment.
Yeah.
So by immersive, it can range from getting you up on stage, or it can be just that they come into the audience and act out in the audience or dance around you. We quite liked that. We're quite shy people, but we felt okay about it.
So there's lots of variety. Scarlet Night was brilliant. Really like that.
That was very immersive as well. Never done anything like that before, have you?
No.
You sort of go along, they tell you a story, Scarlet Night story. I'm not going to go into it too much because it's interesting. And it's quite lovely where you sing it and they explain it. It's really atmospheric. And then, like at one point, you get like a crew member come up and say, "Follow me." I don't know if it happens to everyone, but it said, follow me. We're going to go to another. And they take you to another bar. And in the bar, they set up free like bubble champagne. And then later on, it goes into the party around the pool, which was a blast. That was amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then it went into the Manor afterwards, which is the main nightclub on board. And we stayed up quite late that night to 3:30 and had a brilliant time.
Yeah. In terms of dislikes, it was mainly to do with at the start of the cruise there didn't seem to be many of the shows we wanted to see, or we couldn't do them because we wanted to be up early for a visit in the port. And then we left them, and they didn't really get going on the schedule until the middle of the week. So we did a few then, and then towards the end we'd left some of them, and then it wasn't anyone's fault. They got cancelled because someone was ill, so that means we didn't get to see a few shows towards the end. But we were fine with it. We had plenty of other things to do instead.
Yeah, there's always something else to go to. So we went. One of the things that we weren't expecting to really enjoy, especially John, because John doesn't like to sing in public at all, do you? Very much.
No.
But
it's private, so it's okay.
We went to private karaoke rooms where you just book them. You write your name on a sheet of paper and book it, and they were basically empty the whole time on the cruise we were there. We went there, and I've never heard John sing so much. He sung his little heart out. It was lovely to hear, and we had a fantastic time, didn't we?
Yeah, I think people can't hear outside, so it's fine. So in the cabin, if you don't want to use all your app all the time, like events and stuff, you can go and get these sheets from Sailor Services or on the roundabout as well, which is really useful, tells you what's on.
So the next section we're going to talk about are the spaces around the ship. There's some loungers that are in the shade, or like the day beds that are in the shade. There's day beds in the sun if you like the sun. Just you'll find a space where it's quiet. You'll find a space if you want to be part of like the action. By action I mean just like music and people laughing and joking around. It is quite it's a big ship. It's not like one of the huge ships they have now, but to us it was a big ship with plenty of levels where you can explore and have fun.
Yeah, so there's only two little dislikes for the spaces. First one was perhaps the pool. I know we knew before we went, but it's not got the best pool compared to other cruise ships. It's really small. It's more like a paddling pool, really.
Yeah.
One day it wasn't as clean as we thought it would be.
Yeah, they had like in the gym area, the leisure club, I can't remember what they call it, but they have like a pool in there, which is more like with bubbly things. You press the bubbles. But I have this thing I don't like. If the pool's cold, I don't like having bubbles. I don't know if you have the same.
Yeah.
It only really works for me like having a jacuzzi if the water's like hot, like with the bubbles and stuff. But it didn't really have like a lap pool, did it? You know, like a pool you could actually swim in. Sometimes the smoking area of the wind direction can blow over towards where you're sitting or where you are somewhere else on the ship, but we noticed that.
We paid extra. We went to the spa, so it's $39 a day we went because it was a port day, $59 the other times. But I did like the spa.
Yeah, the spa was like an experience. We have been to a few spas, haven't we, in the past? And so we sort of know the steam rooms, we know the saunas, but this one had a mud room. So you could get these little pots of mud, which are about this big from reception. You heated them up a bit, heated your skin up, and then you put the mud on. That was different. I quite enjoyed that, doing that. Did you?
Yeah.
Relaxing.
Overall, I like the spa. If we've been like niggly, minor things,
Yeah.
the water tap didn't work, so we went in and then tried to get water. Couldn't get water, so I spoke to someone, and they kind of took it on board a little bit, but then no water came. Like no one came to fix it, and then waited a bit more and spoke to someone else, and they like came over to kind of show me how to use it. I knew how to use it, it just wasn't working. And eventually they got someone to fix it and also bring me some water. That was probably about half an hour we had to wait. It wasn't too long.
No, but when you're in a steam room or a sauna, you do need to drink.
Yeah.
It gets dehydrating.
Yeah.
And there was nowhere to get water from or drink, but they did bring us 2 waters at the time as well after half an hour. But I think like it was just a bit jarring and different because the rest of the cruise and the rest of the ship and all the crew had been so helpful.
Yeah.
So it just felt strange, didn't it?
Yeah.
Next section we talk about are the ports. My personal, I don't know if John agrees with this, but I think there's a good variety of ports. It's a good one to go on because actually each of the ports are quite different. Like I was most surprised by Rhodes because it goes to Santorini, then it went to Rhodes,
Yeah.
then
Then it
Bodrum.
went to Bodrum, and then we had a break for sea day, and then it went to Mykonos for 2 days.
And the Santorini, everyone talks about it. It's the most beautiful, magical place on earth, I think. But everyone talks about the crowds. So we went up and got in really early, and it's what we expected. It was exactly how I expected it to be. Was it you?
Yeah, having been there 20 years before, it hadn't changed very much
No.
apart from the popularity. So we liked it, but you were surprised by Rhodes. You liked that the most, didn't
Yeah,
you?
because I'd been to Rhodes like 23 years or so before, and I'd gone there, and I remember it being very plain, like the actual buildings, and it wasn't. And I found it really interesting, and I really enjoyed it, and you enjoyed it a lot as well.
Yeah, I
didn't you?
really liked it. I think I liked the variety of ports on the Greek island globe when we were on it, and that goes elsewhere after the ship, but in the winter. But I like the variety of the ports. In terms of what I disliked, I felt like the ports generally were quite busy. So like Santorini was busy, Bodrum was quite busy as well, and Mykonos was busy at certain times, but we picked the quiet times to go.
I felt like Bodrum was a big enough place to be able to accommodate the number of cruise passengers. It felt like it had quite a big market, quite a big shops, and everyone had gone to the market and the shops. And even when we were coming back, that's when most people were heading out. It still didn't. It appeared like as busy as it should have been. Santorini, windy, narrow steps. Lots of people don't mix together. It makes it really treacherous. And
Santorini couldn't cope. So on the way out, it was not too bad. On the way back, though, we just missed a tender, and then we had to wait 45 minutes to get a tender back. So that was a bit slow.
I think they said that's quite common in Santorini as well. When we were talking to the person, they said that the people in the port that run the tender, they just are like a law to themselves, and they just decide because there were 3 ships in at the same time as our ship, and they were sharing the tender between all of them, and it seemed quite chaotic, didn't it?
Yeah,
It wasn't Virgin's fault or any of it. I think it's just
No,
the
it's just
people.
how it is.
Yeah.
in the next section we're going to talk about is value. So obviously it kind of depends on kind of your budget, doesn't it?
Yeah.
For us, it was great value. If you like to eat well, like we do, it's not buffet, so you go into a different restaurant every night. And so one was the Test Kitchen. That's like a tasting menu, which would cost hundreds of pounds in London.
Yeah.
So that was really good value. You can have as many cakes as you want. So at the galley, like the cakes were really nice and probably would
Patisserie
be
style.
quite expensive patisserie style. So we saw the value in the food.
Yeah. I just think there's amazing value in the food because you can have as much of it as you want, and it's top quality. We didn't have a bad meal.
The drinks probably not value. We knew they were going to be expensive before, but they were about £7, which we didn't overly like. But the ones that we did drink tended to be about $8 to $11, so quite pricey.
Yeah, I think it's more expensive if you're coming from Europe and going on the cruise, because when we spoke to some Americans who were on the cruise, they said that it was cheaper than bar prices in America. So I think maybe with inflation in America gone up and also their wage increase have gone up, they would have seen it as being quite cheap or good value. Whereas like in our country, like I think it's only like in London where you would pay seven, or really posh places, or like pay £7 for a pint. Like where we live, it's about 5 to 6, isn't it? £5,
Yeah,
something like that.
at
So
the most,
the
yeah.
most. But on the flip side, all soft drinks are free. If you buy like just regular soft drinks, obviously if you have a smoothie and or something like that, is an upcharge. But if you have things like Coca-Cola, or if you have iced tea, or if you have tea or coffee, as long as it's not premium coffee, just normal coffee, it's all free. So you can drink drinks without it costing a huge. If you don't drink alcohol, you won't spend much.
The regular coffee was fine and good value.
Yeah.
The premium coffee was okay. We didn't particularly like the UHT milk. We swapped to oat milk, and then it was better. But $4 for the coffee was not too bad, but we didn't have that many of them because the regular coffee was okay. So the next section we're going to talk about is the cabin.
So the cabin was very good. In general, the bedroom was quiet, well soundproofed, I would say, and the fridge that we got in the room was really cold. They give you water in the room, and we just put them into the fridge, and it meant we had chilled water for the whole of the journey. They kept replenishing it, they keep refilling it, and you can ask for it on the tablet in the room. You can just press something, and we had to do that a few times, especially if we'd been drinking, to rehydrate. And it was quite efficient, wasn't it?
Yeah. In terms of dislikes, it was quite narrow at the end of the bed, so next to the TV to get around. The bathroom was quite small. It was workable for a week though, and there was enough space for everything for us. As we said, the noise was okay. We were lucky. We didn't have anyone particularly noisy near us. There was a little bit of noise on the balcony that you could hear.
The first night.
And then perhaps corridor noise a little bit, but not as much as we were worried about. So,
like Paul said,
it's quite well insulated. We've done a whole cabin tour, so we'll put that on the channel.
We're going to talk about crew next. The staff, like the room service staff you have, basically you're doing your room every day. They're amazing, aren't they?
Yeah, I just think the staff in general is 4 or 5 star service.
Yes.
But probably 99% perfect. So towards the end, we'll just tell you the part that wasn't, probably the 1%, but it's very, very small.
I mean, the energy of these people, they are all quite young, the crew, so that's probably why. But they're just so like a positive, energetic, funny, friendly bunch, aren't they? And the entertainment people are really good, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like, including everyone and chatting to people. They don't.
Yeah. When we first got on board and went to the galley straight away, they're kind of showing us and explaining to us how to use the galley. Obviously, they could tell that we'd never been on a cruise before, used it, so that was really good. Dislikes, it's really hard to think of dislikes with the crew. Like Paul said, they're also really good. We had one minor thing, like really minor.
And I think the problem is when it's also amazing and very, very good, when something does go wrong or didn't even go wrong, when you don't get an amazing service, it just and you're made to feel like you're not important.
Yeah, you remember it.
Yeah, you
so we
remember
went to the wake for one of our meals, and we kind of went up to the entrance, and then there's a staff member there, and we just said that we've got a booking, and then they said they didn't work there. And then, which is fair enough. And then
why were they standing there?
Yeah, we didn't know that it was a different outfit.
Yeah.
And then the actual main person came up, but didn't really give us any eye contact or speak. Just went straight to the other member of staff and was just discussing like a booking for a rock star, and kind of like a little bit rude.
Quite dismissive, I'd say. Dismissive towards us, like not giving us eye contact and sort of saying, "Well, be with you in a moment."
Yeah, I guess they're representing the rock star, aren't they? The other staff member just feels like not very good. They came back to us, they didn't say, "Oh, sorry for waiting" or anything like that. It just took us down, so it felt a little bit rude.
The wake is like their premium, I'd say, restaurant, and we dressed up and we were going to this special meal and we was really hyped for it. I suppose it's about expectations. was expecting to go down there and see this amazing space and be treated amazingly because we had already been treated amazingly everywhere else, and then to be sort of snubbed. That's how I felt it was. We were snubbed on our arrival. We weren't used to it by then. We'd been on the boat, on the ship for a while.
Because they give you a server pretty much every day on the app, and they kind of say they pride themselves like on treating everyone equally on the ship. It felt that time that obviously Rockstars had better treatment than everyone else. I know they pay a lot more money than us, but we're still the same customers. It didn't ruin our trip, and it was only a really minor thing, but we just wanted to be honest and share something that happened. Overall, would we do it again?
100%.
100%, yeah. So when you go on board in your room, you get a little sheet. So that's an offer. So you have to do it on board. So we took up the offer. So it's $300. You put down $300 deposit, and then you get $300 off your next voyage, and then you also get $600 on board credit. It's in your local currency, which it doesn't. Might have said in the small print. So, but it's in dollars.
All right.
So yeah, we did that because we liked it so much.
We discussed it, and it was a no-brainer. Really, we spent it in 2 years, so it's a while. And we just thought in the next 2 years, we're probably, if we're feeling flush, we'd go on to one in the Caribbean. That's a dream. But if we're not feeling flush, we can go on the West Europe one, which is like Barcelona, and that wouldn't be terrible. That'd be amazing as well.
Yeah. So overall, for me, like I like the fact that there was so much to do, so many activities. It didn't feel like bored at any point.
No.
And for you, what was really good?
I liked all that. I liked the fact, like, you didn't have to really think. It sounds really strange, but you didn't have to think, oh, where am I going to eat tonight? What am I going to do today? You know, what should we do now? But also there was a lot of spontaneity. Can't say words. Yeah, that. You could just, there's lots of things going on where you can just turn up to them. But also you can just go like, oh, let's just go to the pool. Let's just go to the social club. Oh, let's go to have an ice cream, you know, or let's go and just have a look out from the ship and look at the view. Let's go on our balcony.
Yeah.
There's not really any pressure because you can just be who you want to be. And do what you want to do.
Like in Mykonos on the first port day, we just stayed on the ship because it was quieter and we didn't need to go because we went the next day. But overall, for me, even though it's the fact you never bored, it's the food. So
yeah,
having like a guarantee of like a whole week's worth of good food is priceless.
It is. And also service and the crew. And but it's just like, it is 100% like an experience. It's like being in a different world, isn't it? It's an otherworldly experience.
Yeah. So if this video was any use or helpful, then give us a thumbs up, a like, if you can. If you want to see our other videos in the series, then find them on the channel. So there's 10 videos, put a link in the description below for different ports we went to, and then also before we started in Athens. And if you feel like it, it really helps us if you subscribe as well.
But we do really appreciate you for watching our videos. So thank you. It means a lot to us.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Come and join us on our Greek adventure. In Athens, it is 35 degrees. It's 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Having a pit stop somewhere cool and shady. We're on route to the cafe now. We're a bit underdressed. We're quite coordinated.
Come on, Barbie, let's go, Barbie.
Fried chicken sandwich with fries for breakfast.